scouts got cut and crossmen got cut. So now you have three different styles of an organization on top of the foundation that's already been established at Colts that allowed us to excel really well as a line in 2019. I felt like we all were able to just have all these different ideas. So. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Flip Up Podcast. Today, we are joined with Mason Ferrantelli, who has marched in some ensembles you may know, the Colts and Rhythm X.
I started in Phoenix, Arizona with drum corps. At the time, they were Oceanside, California, Gold Drum and Bugle Corps, 14 and 15. And then I marched Breakthrough Independent. They're based out of Tempe, Arizona, 15. And then 16, 17, 18, 19, drum corps, I did Colts. And for my WGI, I marched 2017 at Redline, and then 18, 19, and then like half 20, whatever we want to call 2020 with Rhythm X. And currently, I am teaching Cap City, but I also taught the virtual summer for Madison Scouts last year. So, and yeah, that's about my whole marching career. You know, I kind of started on the west side of the country and kind of moved my way over and over. And I have moved from Arizona to Ohio, Arizona to Michigan. You know, I lived in LA for a few months, basically. So it's a lot of fun doing this activity for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hi, kitty cat.
Is that your cat?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got two special guests today then.
Yeah, we got two. Sorry for you Spotify people. Wait, Mason, show us your cat.
Let me see if I'll grab him before he runs away. Nah, he's doing his own thing.
Dang. Well, so for more context for you guys, how this sort of all correlates together, me and Mason, we both marched together at Colts this not past. Wow, yeah, because of COVID, it's not past anymore, but I guess it'd be 2 years ago now.
Yeah, the 2019 summer.
Yeah, exactly. So, which was also Mason's age out. So, yeah, let's go ahead. Let's start talking about some topics. Let's go ahead and just begin with gold. You were talking about how you went from the West Coast experience to the East Coast experience. So what was that transition like? And maybe kind of talk about what things were kind of similar.
Yeah. So the first year I marched gold, we did like some offhand, or off the hands, like whatever people want to call it. But like just kind of simple buckets and reloads. But we didn't really talk about pathways or anything, or like really get into it. And then gold 15, I was actually taught by the Broken City cymbal tech. Her name is Jen Swanik, and she's not against offhand, but she's really for good sounds. So that's why she prefers on-hand techniques. And she was like the first female Vanguard cymbal player. You know, like she marched Vanguard way back in the day. So she's very like on the hand and good sound. And then when I marched Breakthrough, I was taught by Frank Becerra and Scott Gleason. Scott is actually a current Vanguard cymbal tech. Maybe not now with COVID, and I don't know what their staff is, but at least through 18 and 19, he was teaching there. So like I was basically raised up like kind of like Vanguard. And yeah, I saw the YouTube videos of people doing unloads, so I learned it here and there. But like the first time I ever went and like actually learned how to do a bucket was probably like the Colts 2016 auditions, and like they were doing like thumb grip and like soft juggles and like kind of some innovative stuff. And I was like, I can flip up really fast and make a loud sound while I do it. How about that, guys? And so like it was pretty drastic. Like I don't know how I got a spot. The cymbal tech for some reason just saw it in me. But he was also my first cymbal tech ever. I actually shared a Facebook on photo, or shared a photo on Facebook literally 2 days ago of him and I when I was like 12 years old playing cymbals in high school.
Wow.
So for some reason, he's been the Colts cymbal tech the whole time. And he was just like, yeah, I'm gonna take this kid. I don't know why, but I'm just gonna take him. So then, like, literally the symbol line all year was teaching me like what a flashpoint was, like how buckets rotate, like inwards and outwards rotations. Like I really did not understand that stuff, you know. And thankful we had pretty good staff that year, being Ryan Carberry, the man. Yes, sir.
For
Right.
context, real quick, Ryan was Mason and I's tech at Colts in 2019. Mason's had him as a tech throughout the years.
He marched for the Mex and such, so he kind of knows this stuff and he's pretty good. I believe in a lot of what he says, and he's kind of taught me how to play cymbals really well, I'd say. I've had many good educators, but he's one I actually look up to, like probably personally. So he's definitely the homie for real. So he basically like taught me how to do it all, and then he brought me to Redline, and then that's where kind of like my East Coast career like just kind of started. You know, like I stopped really caring about like how loud I could ping my cymbals while flipping, or like how hard I could just do like this motion, you know, like that's the kind of things West Coast lines really care about, like, and having really good sound quality. Like I don't know how many times I've stood in a cymbal line and just played scissors for a whole hour until our sound quality was good. Like that is something a West Coast line would do, but an East Coast line would stand at a line and flip for a whole hour until their flips look perfect, you know? So that's like, I've literally done both physically and mentally. And it's like, I see the point, but I stand more on the East Coast side now. Like, I don't want you to play bad sounds, but if I got to make you play scissors for 20 minutes to play good scissors, then we're going to do it, you know? But I would prefer to look better. Also, I feel like in the activity, it's harder to give better sounds to the crowd than it is better like visuals, especially like with distance and just like kind of how programs are made, you know? Like visual is sometimes more key, but when you're in a solo moment, you got to have perfect sounds, you know? And most cymbal lines aren't going to be thrown out there solo unless they're really confident, you know? Or at least if I was a tech, I'd be like, don't put them out there, please. Like, please don't. Like, we're not ready for that yet. Give us more time, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Which actually kind of going off of that idea, um, I kind of do notice those things in a way in terms of East Coast, because I, for one, know that I've spent more time working on flipping as a line rather than playing as a line.
Yeah, same here.
Especially at like George Mason, when we started off in 2018, like the big thing was like, let's get our flips together. And I definitely think also it kind of factors in like the kind of cymbals you're using. But at least in terms of just from starting off and to where we ended up, like I definitely like the boundary was, it was more focused visually, but as my career kind of progressed, it definitely did balance out a little bit better, I would say.
Oh yeah, same here. Like I remember starting out, I put a lot of focus on the visual aspect because that's kind of what, like, as a high schooler, you focus on a lot because you think, oh, it's so cool. But my sound quality really suffered. Like it was pretty trash. So it is good trying to find that balance of like, okay, yeah, I want to have like cool visuals and stuff because I want to do an East Coast line, but at the same time, you can't have like the super trashy sound quality.
This actually will make you guys laugh. Jen Swanek, the cymbal tech at Broken City, her and I are just good friends through her teaching me. And I always joke around with her because they sound really good, but sometimes they don't always look the best. And I've literally told her that, like to her face. I've said that, and I'm like, how about this? You hire me as your assistant. I'll worry about the looks. You worry about the sound. We'll just make a dream team cymbal line. And she's like, and then she's always like, we got to move to LA. Come on, like you can't do that from Ohio. What are you doing out there? So
That's a point.
it's just something funny because like that's true. Like kids learning. Like, you can't really do sound quality through Instagram or YouTube. Come on, those like 2012 videos were recorded on like a trash can mic.
Yeah, you ain't
Like,
wrong about that.
but at least you could see what they were doing, you know. And I feel like that's where the East Coast kind of started, and like for some reason there's like the beef between them, but I usually just try to squash it and have the best of both worlds, which
Mm,
I think, which is what more people are kind of realizing. I think I'm kind of forcing my cat to get over here.
yeah, I guess going off of that, I mean, I personally, haven't done West Coast, but that's the one thing I got to give credit. Like, in a way, it's almost like politics in the sense you got like the West Coast and East Coast. It's like it's your belief of what symbol style you want to play. But like that's what I gotta give credit to. In terms of the East Coast, like I personally find it more visually pleasing. Where on the West Coast, like I I gotta say, like they sound good. And finding that balance, I think, is gonna be the future of cymbal playing.
Oh yeah, 100%. Dude, Mason, get out to LA. Change the game.
Yeah, that's actually, if we want to talk about my life plan, because I was talking with them before we started, because just catching up on life, and I want to run esports teams, and the hub of esports is kind of LA, California based, maybe a little bit in New York, and I think Las Vegas, because they have something there. They have like a dome, but like the hub is really LA. Big international airport. That's where most of the pro players live. That's like just where stuff happens. So it's like, oh yeah, I can just go out there and then I can just teach some ensemble that's really good while also doing what my passion is in life.
Hell yeah.
So that would be the goal. So I need to graduate first. I need another year and some smidge.
Dude, get your sports management degree. Take that for symbols. Make some symbol teams. Have them compete. The symbol circuit be the
I
new
have
thing when
I have
DCI
joked
dies.
I have joked about making a drum corps of only cymbal players, like a
Oh
hundred
man,
plus cymbal players, like people playing like 30 inches to people playing like 6 inches,
and the
and
finger
having like
symbols.
and having like a front ensemble of only just cymbals, and that's it.
Jesus.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
loud.
Yeah, definitely.
It'd be terrible. I bet it would sound terrible.
Uh, cool. Let's go ahead and talk now about Colts. So we had Jimmy on in a previous episode talking about scouts. Something both Mason and Jimmy share in common is that they both marched 4 years in an ensemble doing specifically cymbals. But in a unique way, though, with Mason's situation, Mason's kind of been like there wasn't like a cut in the line or the line came back. Like Mason kind of joined in the middle. And we also kind of talked about already, like how he got into things at Colts. But Mason, if you want to give like the rundown of like what it's been like for each year and maybe things you've learned along the way.
Yeah. Um, shout out to Jimmy though. He's my man. I love him. We marched for the next together too. So all these drum corps years, whenever the scout symbol line was a thing, were honestly more fun. So because like honestly, the scouts and the Colts, we were friends. Like we'd go hang out after shows, or we'd like have our free day together. I think one year we had a sushi date. I think that was 17. We all went and got sushi on the San Antonio free day. So like just from like a fun and like how much fun I had whenever they were a thing, like it was just more fun. So shout out to them. Happy I've been part of that organization, at least on the educator side. It was awesome to teach the summer, but back to the marching career of 16 through 19. Yeah, 16 it was like basically just learning. It was a lot of learning, but we had like four really strong dudes: Jack Roberts, Austin Shriver, Ben Wyland, and me. And if you fast forward to 17, the symbol line was Austin and Will Shriver, me, and Jack. So basically the same symbol line. and we we basically just took what we did last year and added to it. So like I went to Red Line, and then Will was at Cap City, and Austin was at Infinity, and Jack had foot surgery, so he wasn't marching, but he marched like 14 to 17, so he's another like 4 year like cymbal player,
Dude,
you
shout
know?
out to Jack.
Yeah. So he was there, and he was someone I always looked up to, like while I was marching. It's like, damn, I want to be as good as him, like as confident and just like kind of badass, honestly. Like the way he would like run the field and like run the show. But so so the four same dudes doesn't happen often, but uh it was honestly just like cool to have the same vibe. And then we pulled from all our indoor groups. So like we were kind of scratching at like the understanding of like visuals and like how to write cool things. But then we went and marched indoor at all these other places. And then we kind of brought back like stylistic things from each place. And then we basically formed like a symbol line of kind of all styles. Like whenever we were writing things, it wasn't just like one person doing the whole thing. Like we literally sectioned out shows for people to write. Like as it was like, this is your part of the show, you have to write. I don't care what it is, but like it's your job. And like it was kind of a little too structured to what I prefer today, but I thought it allowed me to like experiment, because I'd stay up like writing visuals. I'd stay up because I'd want my 16 counts to look the dopest. You know, we help each other out too. It wasn't like sharks, like every man for himself. It's like, oh well, like let's fix up your part a little bit here and there. And like I felt like we learned how to design visuals better because of the environment we helped create. And then we'd pull from each other's vocabulary. It'd be like, oh, you remember the thing like Infinity did? Show me that rotation. And I'd watch it and I'd be like, okay. And then I'd sleep on it, come back a day later. Maybe I'd probably play cymbals in my dreams. And then I'd come back with like something that looked way cooler, or like something that didn't make sense, but it worked. You know?
That is so true though, what you're saying about like coming from like a bunch of ensembles and then uniting as one. Like I mean, in 2019 it was, like you guys and then me, which, that had a mesh itself, but kind of relating to Scouts in 18, right? There was like three.
Oh yeah, that line was stacked.
Yeah. So like you have, all these different like styles and like things that we all knew individually just coming into one, which I guess if we talk about like 2019 in a way, like, I mean, Brad's talented, man. Like he can make visuals just straight out of his ass if he wanted to, he just can do that stuff. So, but also I guess kind of going off of the vibe, also like in 2019, it also did help a lot though that Crossman and Scouts both got cut. So not talking about WGI in 2018, but now we're talking DCI in 2019. I don't think I said that right. Hold on, back it up. DCI in 2018, it was a bunch of WGI lines coming together. But in like 2019 at Colts, right, it was a bunch of DCI lines coming together, right? Because Scouts got cut and Crossman got cut. So now you have three different styles of an organization on top of the foundation that's already been established at Colts. That allowed us to excel really well as a line in 2019. I felt like we all were able to just have all these different ideas. So,
dude, and that line was insane. Everyone check out that line, Colts in 19, if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, there were some days it worked and some days it didn't, but you are right. The precedent that I would try to hold you guys to was that we were going to be perfect, and we were going to at least feel that what we were doing on the field was perfect, and we couldn't make it any better, and that's just like a mentality thing. And that's just, it's kind of trained in that symbol line, because like the people that march there are like kind of the best of the best, like in the Scouts and the Colts symbol line. If you kind of look Like all the MCM dudes had scouts that year in 18. Rhythm X was backing up the Colts line, but it was also because like the same WGI techs taught those DCI lines. So, they're just pulling their talent to their DCI group. But like little did people realize that that's just the precedent of the Cymbal line. Like back in 2014, they thought they were doing their best. 2016, we thought we were doing our best and we were going to try our best, like, and rehearse after shows and like literally put your all into it until you couldn't anymore. And that's what separated us.
Yeah, and I mean it's what I've been saying. I tell this to Lucas all the time. Like, sure, right now we're at the best of what we know, but then watch in 2025, like telekinesis, man, it's gonna blow up. Cymbal playing.
Dude, every single year, it just always gets better, and it like always blows our minds because you think it's like, okay, we can't figure out anything else, but then someone comes out and they're like, oh, did you know I could do this with a cymbal? And you're like, all right, I'm done. I quit.
Watch
Yeah,
out for Cap City. We're coming.
something that Brian always because we had Brian on the podcast, Mason, but something that Brian taught me when I was before I even was at George Mason, he said, yeah, someday you're going to be a better cymbal player than me. And you think like, someone who's been at the top of their game, for his time, like saying that, like, it's so true. Like, I feel like there's already now like people cymbal players who are capable of doing things now that like, I'm like, now, what the heck are you doing? Like, I've never seen this concept before, and stuff still surprises me. So like, yes, I'm getting close to my age out. Hell, I might even be aged out at this point, but it's like there's already people jumping in now who like are doing this new thing, and I'm just like, I have no idea where to begin on that now. It's just changing every year.
I teach kids now that are better than what my hands can produce. But the cool thing when you're at that high level is it's more of like a collaboration than it is a teaching. Because I know that their understanding of what they're doing is very high. So instead of me coming up to them and like correcting them, I'll ask them. I'll be like, well, how did that feel? Like, what happened in that rep? Because like I felt like when I was at my peak, like the tech would walk up to me and I'd just be like, yeah, I initiated early and that led to this, and I put too much pressure here and that's why it screwed up. And then the tech would just walk away. And like if you could do that to your tech every time they walked up to you, the tech would, one, be frustrated because they could never say anything, or two, be like, wow, you are very smart and you are very aware of what is happening. So it's more of like a collaboration when you get to that level. Obviously when you're teaching some kid how to put their cymbals on their hands for their first time, it's like, no, you just need to listen to me for a bit. But once I I call them like training wheels. Like once the training wheels are off, it's like, all right, you have a say and let me hear you out, And I felt like we did that well in 19, Jaden. And that was only because of the teaching environment that Danny and Ryan set up for us, because they were like, wow, these dudes, they're throwing heaters. Like, instead of trying to slow them down, let's ask them what they think is slowing them down, because they might have a better knowledge, but that's really only at like the top. Like I want to stress that very hard. You cannot do that with someone who is very beginner or maybe even intermediate. I wouldn't try that with a scholastic A with like two cymbal players, but like, if you're like Rhythm X or Pulse or, Scouts at the time or Scouts currently, like Colts, like, yeah, you guys probably have like the top 1%, like literally.
Yeah, you make like a great point talking about awareness. That I didn't even think about that. That's actually such a great point, because from when I started off, it was always like, you're doing this wrong, but it was always like, I don't know why I'm doing it wrong. And I think that's probably the most important thing that differentiates like the average cymbal player versus the ones that are excelling, the ones that are engaging themselves, able to decipher the things that the text says looks correct and being able to decide whether it looks right or it looks wrong. Being able to self-correct yourself is such an important aspect. Like not even on symbols, like
Life.
yeah, even life. Like if you like going back to just drumming, like if you mess up like a rudiment, like you need to know what you did before the tech can even say something. It's just important.
Yeah, and dude, going back to that thing you said about the text and like having that super high level, I feel like if you look at a lot of like the best techs that are out there, if you ask them to do the visuals that their students are doing, they probably couldn't do it. But they're
Nope.
teaching at that group because they have that like that perfect knowledge and experience that goes well with the collaboration that you were saying with the students. So just having that ability to kind of stand back and listen, but also guide is super important. I think that's why they always have the best product, even though they aren't necessarily the best cymbal players anymore.
Yeah, I in the current winter book I am teaching, there's probably at least four things off the top of my head I know I couldn't do. If I spent like 3 days and a pair of cymbals and like a one all nighter, like I'd get it. But like, instead of doing that, I'm putting my time towards something else because that's like their job, you know. But that, but like, yeah, I guess that's about it on that point.
And in
I'm old.
5 years, the students are going to be doing stuff that you'll never even like dream of doing, but you'll still be able to teach them.
When people ask like, what do you think's the next thing someone's gonna do? I'm like, I really want someone to make magnetic cymbals and magnetic gloves. Like, I really want that technology to come around
Magnets. Let's
because
make it
that
happen.
I feel like you could make the cymbal float in between two powerful enough magnets, and if you could somehow hold those magnets and they weren't so heavy,
Okay. Okay.
but that's what technology is for.
Get some Velcro.
Uh, the first cymbal I was ever in, one of the bass drummers, he was like a cymbal player, and he would joke around with us and be like, "Yeah, we just have magnetic gloves that you can just hold the cymbals, and then you can just like pop them off, and you never have to retie your straps." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "I don't have to retie my straps. That sounds like the best thing ever for a beginner cymbal player."
If I never had to tie a strap ever again, oh my God. The amount of nylon I've gone through, the amount of hours I've put in just tying straps, like that would be amazing.
My tip to anyone with nylon is to use titanium scissors and a very hot heat source.
A very hot heat source.
Blowtorch, like skip the big lighter. Like I always use a blowtorch, a grill torch, or like a grill lighter.
Use a
Like just
flamethrower.
Yeah, you got to go all out for these.
your Tesla flamethrower. You could use that, I guess.
Man,
You
if you
know,
have bad scissors though, like those titanium scissors, if you have bad scissors with nylon, it just ruins everything. It's the worst
done.
experience ever. I had bad scissors for my WGI seasons and it was just a pain.
Oh, and for context, we're talking about making cymbal straps, which we also, I don't know when we're releasing this one, but we have a podcast about sort of making straps, either before this one or after this one. But if you click the link below, it'll take you to a video on how to make cymbal straps.
Watch out for that. Yeah.
Cool. So let's go ahead and talk about our last point here. So the one thing you've been talking about is all these different lines and this collaboration. But what's been your thought process throughout each year? Because obviously the lines get better and better, and you've watched it progress throughout those 4 years. So like, what's going through your head, you know?
I mean, the thought process was kind of what I was talking about. What keeps a Colts cymbal line consistent through the years was like just trying to be the best, never settling. But like I've kept that thought process through all my marching career. And if you keep enough dudes on that same thought process for enough years, it starts to exponentially grow, which is kind of what I think we've started to see is we've had some exponential growth in like what people can and can't do. And technology has also helped that growth with like sharing and being able to share information faster because humans just learn and there's more available information to them. But so just always striving to be the best and evolving what that is. And I think like in 16 being the best was like having clean flips and like cool visuals. But by the time I reached 19, being the best was like having everything perfect. Drill moves, like one flip up in the show. Like I remember in 2019, I had one specific flip up. I'd always over rotate it. And I know for a fact I'd always do it, and just in my head, even on the finals run, I was thinking, don't over rotate, don't over rotate. And that thought process is kind of taught to us through like just always trying to be the best, and always striving to be the best. And the way I teach that to my students is awareness. We kind of touched on that earlier, and something I was taught a lot last summer is like pressure, muscle pressure, like how your muscles feel while you do things, like if you don't understand from here to here, then how are you going to understand when you have these big discs on your hand? Like if you don't understand that what each finger does to the cymbal when you push, then you'll never have a perfect understanding of your show. And you have to dig apart your whole show and grind. Like it's literally just a grind. There's nothing else to it other than putting your nose to that grindstone and learning literally everything you can. Compared to, I always like to compare it to drumming because I feel like in the art of percussive instruments and instrumentation and rudiments, it's all kind of been learned. You hear some cool new technique pop out every now and then, and yeah, but like the way people write music, that's just how it is. Like I can't come out with new rhythms like just randomly. That's already probably has a name. But in cymbal playing, that's what we do every day. We come up with something new and then we give it a name because no one has ever done it. We're just like, what do we do? All right, well, I've never seen it. You've never seen it. And I've probably watched thousands of hours of YouTube videos of cymbal lines. I've never seen it in that, and then it's like, all right, well, let's give it a name. All right, let's call it this. And then it has a name, and then you start teaching. And that's what I feel like is the cool thing about cymbal playing is that not everything's figured out yet. We're still, still trying to learn. Like they've mastered how to make the cymbals, but they haven't mastered how to play them, if that makes sense, at least in a marching world.
Writing history.
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah, so that's actually all the time we got for this first episode with Mason. And as we've done with the past guests, we'd like to ask Mason, is there anything you'd like to say to all the cymbal players out there?
I guess to all the cymbal players out there, don't settle and just keep going. Even when you're at the top, there's still something to go. And when you're all the way at the bottom learning, you can see the people at the top. So you can chase them down. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
Could not be said any better. Thank you guys for tuning back for another episode of the Flip Up Podcast, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
See you.
Yes, sir.